Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our Databricks Training and Exploration series. I'm Jacob Garrison with Technology Partners, and let's take a look at the data science and engineering environment. Now, the first thing you'll want to do if you're not already in the data science and engineering environment is navigate there. You can do this by going to the taskbar on the left-hand side. Up at the top, go to this drop-down menu and you can select Data Science and Engineering. Now, if you want this environment to open by default every time you sign in, you can go back here and you can pin it, and that will automatically sign in to that environment whenever you log in. Next, you'll want to navigate to these tabs in the taskbar on the left-hand side. At the top here, you have New, and that's going to be shortcuts for creating things like new notebooks or new jobs. You have the Workspace tab, and that's where you can access any of your saved notebooks or queries. If you go to Users, you'll have Yourself, and then I don't have any saved in here, but here is where you would see any notebooks you have saved, queries, dashboards, things like that. Next, we have Repos. That's where you can access repositories that are connected to Databricks that you already have permissions to. Then there's the Recents tab. That's a quick shortcut to any queries or notebooks that you've been using recently. Now, I'm going to skip ahead to the Compute tab. This is where you can access clusters that you have access to. All right, let's take a minute to talk about clusters. For those of you who don't know what a cluster is, Microsoft says an Azure Databricks cluster is a set of computation resources and configurations on which you run data engineering, data science, and data analytics workloads, such as production ETL pipelines, streaming analytics, ad hoc analytics, and machine learning. Personally, I like to compare it to a laptop. When you turn on your laptop, you're sending power to multiple components of your laptop, including your processor, memory, storage, as well as other things like your display, your speakers, your backlit keyboard. When you turn on a Databricks cluster, it's like turning on only the processor and memory of your laptop. It's the brains behind it all. It's what's actually doing the work. So what this means for you is that in order to actually run any queries or notebooks, to actually look at the data itself, you need to have a cluster running. So now that you know what a cluster is and when you need it, I want to show you how you can find yours and start it. When you're brought into Databricks, your group or your department will have a cluster created for them that'll be shared amongst your whole group. In my case, I'm part of a demo group, so me and anyone else in that demo group will have access to this demo cluster. Additionally, I have my own personal cluster that only I can use. I talk about the differences between these clusters in my Compute and SQL Warehouses training video, so you can check that out if you want to learn more. For now, I just want to show you how to start your cluster. If you go to the right-hand side, you can hit this Start button on whichever cluster you're wanting to start. Hit Confirm that you want to start it, and now you can wait a few minutes and your cluster will be started and ready to use. Now, the next tab I want to show you is the Data tab. The Data tab is where you can get to the Databricks Data Explorer, which is similar to your traditional Object Explorer on your computer that you use to browse your files. Here you're able to see the data and metadata that you have access to. In the Explorer, you have the catalogs at the top level that you then open up to see the schemas. And then inside the schemas, you have your tables and views. Now at each level, you can select your catalog or your schema or your table, and you can see further information such as the schemas and more details and the permissions granted at the catalog level. You can open up your schema and look at the tables within the schema, along with further details and the permissions granted on that schema. And then you can open up a table or view where you can see your columns with the data type for each column. You can see those same details as before. You can see permissions granted at the table or view level. And then additionally, if you are attached to a cluster, you can sample the data or check out other things like history and lineage and insights. Now, if you are not connected yet to a cluster, you can go up to the top right here, open this drop down, and you can see this cluster that I turned on is now ready to go with this little green check mark. You select it, and I can now sample the data and let that load. And now that that's loaded, you can get a quick peek at what type of data you have in here and what it looks like. You can also go to the History tab and let that load. And that will give you more information as far as when it was created. And you can also go to the Lineage tab, where you can then see tables, notebooks, workflows, dashboards, and queries that are both upstream or downstream to your table. Lastly, I want to take you to the Workflows tab here on the left. And here is where you can see any jobs that are created that you have access to. Most jobs are managed at the administrative level, so you won't be able to see them when you go to Workflows. However, if you do have a notebook or a query that you schedule to run on a regular cadence, this is where you would be able to see it. If you want to learn more about the features in the data science and engineering environment, or if you want to explore the other environments, please check out our other videos in this series. Thank you for watching.